first message that I got from the book is that if we treat other people like a louse, like Raskolnikov thought that the old lady which he killed was just a louse. Like if we treat other people like animals or like things which have no intrinsic value in them, then the consequences could be that at the end we might lose our own self. I feel that the idea that there is no intrinsic value to other people is just nonsense. That we cannot just do anything to the people around us because the consequences will not be just on the other side, but the consequences will be faced by our own self as well.
Hello everyone, welcome to our videos. So today I have a very special plan to make a videos, but this is not just a video, this is a review. So I have a guest who is Aman. Maybe I would like to introduce him first. So Aman is from Pakistan. He is doing philosophical study in Indonesia right now. So yeah, he will tell us very brief about the author.
Okay, so today we are going to review Crime and Punishment of Fyodor Dostoyevsky. Dostoyevsky was a Russian novelist of the best of his time. I would say one of the best ever because of the depth of his work in human psychology, suffering and redemption. He was born in 1821 in Moscow and died in 1881. He lived about 59 or 60 years, but the bulk of work which he left is huge. Some of the widely known and read books of him are, first of all, Crime and Punishment, which we will be reviewing in a bit. Then there is Brothers Karamazov. Unfortunately, I have got only these two for now.
Okay.
The other two widely known books of Dostoevsky are The Possessed and Notes from Underground. People know him for these four works, but there are other famous works of him. It's the same like George Orwell. People just know him for 1984 and Animal Farm. Whereas if we go through his other books like Keep the Expedition Flying and Coming Up for Air or The Burmese Days, they are equally interesting and deep, I feel. And let's get back to the Dostoevsky. One of the major events that happened in Dostoevsky's life was he was arrested by Tsar's police along with the other convicts for having read the forbidden texts, and he was sentenced to death. He was brought with the other convicts to a square to be shot, but it turned out that he was forgiven on the last moment by Tsar, and Dostoevsky thought that he was dead and he was finished, but actually it was a planned mock execution. The Tsar would have probably thought that let's forgive him, but before forgiving him, let's scare the hell out of him and damage him psychologically and release him. And the consequence of this event was that Dostoevsky, he was really scared, and he thought he was dead, but then he was released, and this experience later developed epilepsy in Dostoevsky, which stayed for the rest of his life. He was sent to Siberia labor camp for 4 years, but he stayed more than 4 years there. The impact of this experience was that Dostoevsky's works after that experience are much more deeper than the works before this experience. So, the Crime and Punishment is one of the works of Dostoevsky's post-mock execution experience.
Yeah, actually that's very interesting, and also his life also very interesting. I didn't know him,
Yeah.
this person, and if he was persecuted at the times, maybe we don't have this kind of books today.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. That's right. The experience, this book is actually about the story of a man named Raskolnikov, is a character of Dostoevsky, about a murder. and is the outcome of the experience of Dostoyevsky in Siberia, where they were all the criminals were put in Siberia, and he had enough of the time to meet with the criminals there to listen to their stories, and that experience of being with other criminals, listening to them, could have been one of the elements which influenced this book, Crime and Punishment.
Okay, that's very interesting. Knowing about the author, and yeah, I'm curious to know about this book. So, can you tell me brief summary of this book?
Yeah, so the main character in the book is Raskolnikov. Raskolnikov. He's a very strange and interesting character for me personally. He's broke, he's very poor, he's living in extreme despicable situation. Like he's a drop out of college, and his family, he's the only hope for his family. His sister's future was sacrificed for his success so that he could study there, and his family depends on him a lot. But here he's in another city, Petersburg, doing nothing. He's delirious, he's psychologically a bit disturbed, and he's doing nothing but just staying in his room and just exploring his ideas. And he develops a theory that human beings are divided into two groups. The first group is the ordinary people, the people who keep the status quo, who are obedient to the law, and who will not do anything against the law. If they have something new, a new idea, they will just sacrifice that new idea for the sake of keeping the law, keeping the rules, and they will just live their life in old ways. And the other group is the interesting one. The other group is the extraordinary people, who thinks are people who have revolutionary thoughts, who have new ideas, and their ideas must be known by humanity. Their ideas must be known by the whole world. And because we know that there is a new idea in the society doesn't want to accept it. There is always a strong repulsion, strong dislike towards the new ideas, because the fear of the unknown. So there is always a difficulty to get your idea accepted. But Raskolnikov believes that if you have revolutionary ideas and you belong to a group of extraordinary people, you have the right to commit murders, to commit crimes, to break the law, in order that your idea can be known by the whole world, and in doing so will benefit the whole world. So for example, like you covered that the earth is not round but it's square. It sounds funny, but if let's say if you discover that, and you see that you really discovered that the world is square, and you want the whole world to know it, and there are some obstacles, like let's say there are some people coming in your way, you have the right to kill the people in order that your idea can be known to the whole world.
Yeah.
So Raskolnikov thinks that he belongs to the extraordinary group of people, and he thinks that if you belong to the extraordinary group, there is no intrinsic value to the other people, and you can do anything, you can even kill them. So you can imagine that what he would have done. He killed an old lady, a pawnbroker. Because that lady was holding quite a bulk of wealth, and he thinks that if he kills the old lady, there is a lot which he can do with that wealth. But it turns out that his original motivation was not just getting the wealth from the old lady, but probably it's a quite complicated thing. But he probably wanted to get rid of his fear of his cowardice. He thinks that the only way between success and himself was his cowardice.
Mm.
That he was scared of doing things which might make him a successful person, which might make him known to the world. He kills an old lady, and the consequences of that is that he is no more the same person. He is suffering from extreme guilt. He is afraid of the society, afraid of himself. He is no more at peace. What happens to him is that his world completely changes. The post murder Raskolnikov is no more the same with the Raskolnikov which he used to be. Though he used to be always a strange character, but after committing a murder, he becomes even worse. So this is briefly the story the book wants to speak about, and I think the main idea that Dostoevsky wants to convey is that sometimes we think in our mind that we have found a truth, and we think that that truth can be applied in real life. But Dostoevsky alarms us that that's not the case. A truth is not a truth if it cannot be applied in real life. Like Raskolnikov, he builds a theory of extraordinary and ordinary people in his mind, and that's a pure abstract theory, and he thinks that it's a truth he has found. But when he applies it to real life, it's a chaos. He's guilty, he is scared of the society, scared of himself. He wants to commit suicide, and he no more is able to accept himself, and it's a chaos. So in that case, it's a very good investigation of what happens to a person when a person commits a murder in hope of receiving some benefit for himself or herself.
Yeah, well, that's very interesting. And also, this is very touching. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this book become from his experience. So I can say this book is composed of his experience, what he went through in his life. So from his experience, there are so many things we can discover the wisdom, the thought.
That's true.
Well, maybe I think there are many characters that you found from this book. Can you tell me the other interesting things of the characters that may teach me something, and they may teach us something?
That's an interesting question. When I say that Raskolnikov is the main character of the book, I feel that there is some kind of injustice that I am doing to the book, because the other characters in the book are equally deep and are going through the equal moral dilemma. Like, let's say sister, his Raskolnikov's sister, Dunya. Like, she's a very bold girl, very strong, and she would not give in to things very easily. But when it comes to the success of his future of his brother Raskolnikov, she is ready to sacrifice her whole life. Like, she decides to marry a rich, influential young man in order that he will be later able to help his brother secure a fortune. And so that I found was very contradictory to the character of Dunya, and that's a moral dilemma. And I thought that a whole different book could be written about her. Very interesting character. And like, the other character is Sonia. Like, she's from a very poor family, and her father is a drunkard, is always drunk, and his mother used to be from a rich family, but she lost everything, and she has two other sisters. Her mother does nothing, and Sonia has to end up being a prostitute to help the family. Whereas Sonia, on the other hand, is a very religious person. She is very moral. She knows what is good, what is bad. But on the other hand, the ironic side to her character is that she ends up being a prostitute. And I found that she was another character about whom a separate book could be written about her character. if we, as you asked, other interesting questions, other interesting characters in the book, I found the character of Sonia and Dunya very interesting, other than the character of Raskolnikov.
Sure, sure. Yeah, that's very good and very impressive. No, even just hearing from you, there are many things and it's going, and I feel yeah, that's very interesting and very impressive to me. And if I even started to read this book, yeah, that would be more interesting point. Aman, that's very interesting book, and I want to ask you one last question.
Yeah.
What might be the message that you get from this book?
Well, another interesting question.
Yeah.
Well, the first message that I got from the book is that if we treat other people like like a louse, like Raskolnikov thought that the old lady which he killed was just a louse. Like if we treat other people like animals or like things which have no intrinsic value in them, then the consequences could be that at the end we might lose our own self.
Mm.
The consequences will be chaotic. So I feel that the idea that there is no intrinsic value to other people is just nonsense. That we cannot just do anything to the people around us, because the consequences will not be just on the other side, but the consequences will be faced by our own self as well. So this is one of the messages that I have learned from the book.
That's good, yeah. Maybe next time I will find this book to read, or I will borrow you to read this book. And yeah, thank you for having this very nice time with you, and also sharing us the insight, and then a brief introduction of this book. And also, yeah, your reflection itself is very enriching to me, and also it will be inspiring those who are watching, listen these videos. So thank you so much for coming today and yeah, giving the insight that you received from this book. You want to say something?
I think that's enough.
Okay, thank you.